Hello, Gerry. Thank you so much for joining us. Could you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do?
Of course. My name is Gerry Turner and I'm the Education Manager at the Countryside Restoration Trust. I was recruited as their Education Manager last August, and my responsibility is to create an education blueprint for the Trust. The Countryside Restoration Trust has been going 26 years now, and it has a variety of farms throughout the UK, and they promote wildlife friendly farming. So they're really passionate about children understanding about wildlife, about farming, and everything that sort of coexists in between. So I have to create a brand, an education brand, create activities to roll out at each of the farms, to encourage primary school children to come in and learn about food and farming. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting role.
Wow. So by the sounds of things, it's quite varied, but in an average day, what would happen for you?
It is very varied, and I think because I'm lucky enough to be here in the startup phase, there's an awful lot to do. So first of all, I had to think of a name, a suitable name for the education programme, and I chose the name Mosaic, basically to represent a mosaic picture. So a mosaic can only be viewed when you step back and see the overall picture, but it's made up of many different squares, and all of those squares are relevant because otherwise you can't see the full picture. And learning is very much like that. So I wanted to liken people's experience to learning little bits about farming, whether it be growing crops, about animals, about wildlife and birds or whatever, and then putting them together so that they understand how they coexist in total. So I had to think of the name. There have been lots of other things. So day to day, I would be creating activities for the children, running activities for the children, getting to know the farms and their unique selling point, because although the education follows a kind of a route whereby each farm offers similar things, they're all very different. So a dairy farm would offer something very different from an arable farm or a mixed farm, and also to do with size and facilities. So lots of interesting activities to create, resources to source, even buildings to create, and marketing, and lots of things in between. So yeah, my days are very varied, very interesting, and long may it continue.
Brilliant, very interesting. So I wonder, what is it about your job and about educating people about wildlife conservation that makes it important to you?
I think fundamentally, today's society, there's an awful lot of focus on mental health and well-being, and I think nature is the best remedy to create a really good sort of sense of well-being, to get out and about, to understand nature, to understand about the trees, the birds, the mini beasts, how they coexist, how the food chains work together. Also, I think it's really important for the next generation to understand where their food comes from, how it's grown, whether it grows on a tree, whether it grows underground, whether it grows on a vine, and also how to use raw ingredients to cook things that are healthy, that will keep them not only physically well, but mentally well as well. So I think that's my focus. I want to make sure that children of the future kind of benefit from all the knowledge and are able to draw upon that to make sure that they live their best lives.
So in terms of the goals of the whole charity, where does your role as an education officer fit in?
Really, the Countryside Restoration Trust are really, really passionate about ensuring that the next generations understand the teachings that we have to offer. We've been very lucky. We've been supported by many people over the last 25, 26 years, and many of them are now at an age in 70s and 80s. And it's really important now that we extend our reach to a younger generation, to the mums and dads and the children's, to make sure that what we've achieved is passed on and is not lost through our wonderful, albeit older, supporters. So we see education as a way to reach out to a younger audience, to make them aware of what we're trying to achieve in terms of wildlife friendly farming, and ensure the future success of the trust.
Brilliant. So you seem really passionate and interested in wildlife. I wonder, was biology and that sort of side something you were always interested in at school, or? Yeah.
It was. It was always. In terms of sciences, biology was always my favourite. I have a fascination with the world in general. I'm one of life's lifelong learners. I'm just interested in nature, how things work together, about different species. I went on a trip to Australia and was just amazed by some animals that I didn't even know existed. So for me, there is so much in the world to learn about, and we can never know everything. But for me, it's about striving and sort of learning as much as I can, really.
And finally, was there anyone in particular that inspired you along your journey to be where you are today?
Yes, I have. There is a lady in Australia, in Perth, in Australia, and her name is June Butcher. And I suppose you would expect me to say a celebrity. If I was to say a celebrity, it would be David Attenborough, because I think he encapsulates everything that I follow. He has a natural wonder of the world, and he just wants people to know about those wonders and tell people how best to preserve them for the future. But I think for me personally, June Butcher was a lady I met when I was travelling in Australia, and she established a wildlife rehabilitation centre called Kanyana. And I came across it because I decided to volunteer there when I lived in Perth, and I was just absolutely inspired by her. She was a nurse, and one day she was brought a bird, a pink and grey galah, that had a broken wing, and asked whether she could do something. The man obviously thought that her nursing skills would be translatable, so she gave it a go, and success. She managed to rehabilitate the bird and then release it, and she became known for those skills. And what she did, she created a wildlife sort of centre in the back of her garden. She had a very big property, about 3 acres, and she later grew that. She took on more volunteers. She then moved to a new site. She created an education centre, which I was happily involved with, and took some of the animals out to schools for children to be able to appreciate the wildlife. And I think to do all of that in a lifetime is a wonderful achievement. And I know that I benefited, and I know that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now had I not met her and been part of the Kanyana sort of environment. And I know that the volunteers, the elderly people that seek companionship, the youngsters that maybe want to get into wildlife studies or at veterinary school benefit as well. So yeah, she's an inspiration to me.
Amazing. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us, Gerry. It's been a pleasure.
You're very welcome.